Hello, in this video we are going to be working on learning the roadmap and the musical parts for hymn number 2148, Over My Head. You should all have printed out your roadmap that's got some squares on the right side of the paper. This is going to be super helpful to let you know when you're supposed to come in and sing your parts. In general, this piece is a spiritual, so let's talk about the tone first. We're going to be using a somewhat more everyday tone, not overly formal, not overly operatic or super classical sounding, but we still do want to have nice true vowels, and we want to extend those open vowels until we end our words with a consonant, as always. The mood is somewhat reflective, but we still want there to be some hope running underneath that and inspiring. The arc of the piece is going to build from a soloist to a full four-part choir, so that inspiration of there being music in the air, as the lyric says, should build and build as the piece goes on, okay? Let's just talk through the format here. Refrain number 1 is going to be sung by the soloist only, so choir, you are tacit. It's going to be at a slightly slower tempo. Then at verse 1, our new tempo will kick right in, and only the women will come in. As you can see on the roadmap here, sopranos and altos, you'll be in unison on the soprano part, singing hums and oohs, okay? No lyrics until you get to the final word of the verse, or the final phrase, which is, there must be a God somewhere. After that, women, you will be on your vocal part, soprano, alto, for the rest of the song. Men, you're not going to come in until refrain 3, and that happens after what we're calling verse 2, where the soloist is singing "And When I'm Feeling Lonely." After that, refrain 3, you'll come in. I would love to have tenor and bass, so if you could sing one recording where you sing the tenor part and then do it again where you sing bass, that would be super, super helpful so that we have a nice full 4-part harmony. Men, once you come in at refrain 3, you're in for the rest of the piece. Let's start with working on the refrain as if everybody is singing. So here are some of the notes that we need to remember. The phrase, the breathing that you're going to be doing is, over my head I hear music in the air. And after air, you'll see on the page I've actually cut that quarter note of air to an 8th note, so you can get an 8th rest, and then you'll do the next phrase, over my head I hear music in the air. Again, we've put a little breath, over my head I hear music in the air. That one's longer, you're off on the end of 4 that time. There must be a God somewhere. Where you're going to hold truly for the 3 beats, off on beat 4, and you'll see that on the next system down. Beat 4 is totally in the clear. You get a nice big breath before you come in on the verse hums, okay? Let's go back to that final lyric in the refrain, there must be a God somewhere. You'll hear in the accompaniment, Michiko's done this super cool kind of gospel thing on the word the accompaniment is staccato. So we're gonna get, there must be a God somewhere. So make a staccato. Every refrain, that's how we're gonna do it. Phrasing. We've got these 2-bar phrases, both in the refrain and the verse, and we want to feel a slight crescendo as you move through it. So in the refrain, for example, I'll sing the alto part. Over my head, I hear music in the air. Over my head, I hear music in the air. So slight crescendo from head into I hear, just so we keep that forward movement. I'm also restricting my vibrato a little bit on the word head so that I can release the vibrato into I hear. Listen to it again. Over my head, I hear music in the air. If you can, restrict that vibrato and do more straight tone on head, that would be ideal. If you don't, that's okay too. We just definitely want that feeling of crescendo. During the verses, instead of over my head, you're humming, right? So we want the hum to grow. I'll sing the tenor part this time. I hear music in the air. I my ear. Yeah, so really let that hum grow. The hum's gonna be pretty subtle because your mouth is closed, but we still want to think that so that we have better phrasing. For everybody, please remember these 16th notes. Let's be true to the 16th. Over my head, okay? And then in the next phrase, music in the air, okay? It's not music in the air, which would be tempting to make the air 2 8th notes. You're going to hear Michiko playing the next downbeat as if it was just right on the beat. Music in the air. Not so. We have to stay true to the 16ths. Music in the air, okay? Let's start by hearing some parts. Okay, so soprano part, you're going to be on the melody that you've already heard the soloist sing. So that's pretty easy. It sounds like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And 3. 1, 2, 3. Rest. Your hum is the same pitch you end the refrain on, and I'll always go to the downbeat of the verse just so we can practice that transition. So that was soprano. Let's do alto one time through. Over 1 and 2 and 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. All right, tenor part. Over my head, that's where you are. 1 and 2 and 3. 1, 2, 3. 3, and same pitch as well for your hum. Good. You can be singing your part, sopranos, altos, tenors. Once you've heard it, be singing it with all the other parts, okay? Bass, you're going to start down on this low G and then quickly jump up the octave, okay? Here we go for the basses. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Off, and you on the hum will jump up the octaves. Excuse me. Basses, you have something super cool that we definitely want to bring out. At the end of the refrain, there must be a. You're the only ones that have 16th movement on B. Right? There must be a. So use that, lean into it. You'll see the little slur mark there, and then is staccato, right? There must be a God somewhere. All right, let's try all the music parts together. 1, 2, 3. All right, let's take a look at the verse now. Sopranos and altos, first time through, you're doing that soprano line. The verses are nearly identical to the refrain. We're just putting a hum on the first verse, the first phrase, and then we're going to the I hear music. So you're all in the okay? We don't want hum, we're just gonna go okay? And it sounds like this. So on the first verse only, switch to the oohs when your lyric would normally change to I hear. You'll notice your oohs, you're not going to be changing every eighth note because you don't have new syllables, but you can feel that eighth note, you can feel that subtly going in your mind. You don't want to accent it that much, of course. So you're going to do that whole verse like that, and then on the final phrase of the verse, there must be a God, we'll go to lyric. There must be a God somewhere. That is the only that is not staccato in the whole piece. So the first verse, last line, there must be a God, we're going to do it totally legato, okay? Then women, thereafter, you'll be singing staccato the whole time, okay? For everybody, at the end of the verses, on the word where, you'll see that I've noted on the sheet music, we're going to change that dotted half note to be a half note tied to an eighth, so that you have an eighth note rest on the end of 3, because then you've got to come in on over my, which is on beat 4, as we go into the refrain, okay? So that's it for the first verse with just the women on the melody. So here are the soprano and alto together. You've already sung this. Let's give it a try with hums and the lyrics of verse 2, okay? Here we go. Altos and sopranos. 1, 2, 3, and. Into the refrain, okay? I did the staccato on there must be a that time because we were as if we were singing verse 2, which is when the staccato is back, okay? Let me do the men together. This is as if it were verse 3 on the hums. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and. Too much there, not too difficult. You're going to hear all of this being sort of echoed in the piano. You're going to hear your phrases being supported in the harmony, okay? And that is it for the verses. I forgot to mention at the very end of the piece, we are going to hold the final pitch for the full dotted half, so 3 beats off on beat 4. You'll be cutting off with the piano, so just line it up. There's also a slight retard on the last God somewhere, so be sure to listen for some eighth notes in the accompaniment that are guiding you to how slow that retard is going. Okay, that's it.